It was one of the greatest experience of my life to be married to her. And she was one of the greatest ladies.
The entire truck industry had to make hasty design changes after the tragic death of Jayne Mansfield, and from then on, the Mansfield bar was born. Pay attention to the steel bar below the trailer's cargo box, then listen to the tragic story of Jayne Mansfield. You will know its true purpose. Let's start the video now. First, let's say a few words about Jayne Mansfield. She rose to fame in the shadow of Marilyn Monroe, another iconic blonde bombshell of the era. Mansfield's entry into Hollywood was marked by her striking beauty and impressive physique, which quickly made her a popular pin-up girl and a prominent icon of attraction of her time. Mansfield's career trajectory was significantly influenced by the success of Marilyn Monroe, whose blend of sensuality and innocence captivated audiences. Hollywood was eager to replicate Monroe's appeal, and Mansfield, with her curvaceous figure, platinum blonde hair, and playful persona, seemed to fit the mold perfectly. Her physical attributes and charm led to comparisons with Monroe, and she was often promoted as the next big thing in Hollywood glamour. Despite these initial comparisons, Mansfield's career never quite reached the same heights as Monroe's. While she had a successful start, including notable roles in films such as The Girl Can't Help It, 1956, and Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, 1957, Mansfield struggled to escape the typecasting that limited her to roles emphasizing her physical allure rather than her acting abilities. Hollywood's fascination with her as an icon of attraction overshadowed her talent, leading to a series of roles that were more about showcasing her looks than her skills. Beyond her professional life, Mansfield's personal choices also played a role in her career trajectory. Her tumultuous personal life, particularly her relationships and marriages, often overshadowed her professional achievements. Mansfield was married 3 times and had 5 children, and her high-profile romances frequently made headlines. Her choice of male suitors, which often included men from the entertainment and business worlds, sometimes brought more scandal than stability. These relationships, marked by drama and public scrutiny, contributed to her notoriety, but did little to bolster her career. One of her most publicized marriages was to bodybuilder Mickey Hargitay, with whom she had 3 children, including actress Mariska Hargitay. Their marriage, filled with public appearances and media attention, added to Mansfield's celebrity status, but also to the perception of her as more of a tabloid fixture than a serious actress. The constant media spotlight on her personal life, coupled with the industry's persistent typecasting, hindered her ability to secure more diverse and substantial roles. In the mid-1960s, Jayne Mansfield faced a tumultuous period both professionally and personally, marking a stark contrast from her earlier days of Hollywood glamour. During this time, Mansfield found herself increasingly sidelined in an industry that had once eagerly embraced her as a rising star. The roles she had once hoped to secure were now going to newer, younger actresses, and Hollywood's interest in her for leading parts was waning rapidly. This decline in her career prospects was accompanied by significant turmoil in her personal life, compounding her distress and influencing the choices she made during this challenging period. One of the major personal upheavals in Mansfield's life during this time was her divorce from Mickey Hargitay. Hargitay, a former Mr. Universe, was not only Mansfield's husband, but also the father of 3 of her 5 children. The couple had been a high-profile pair, frequently appearing together in the media and embodying a glamorous image that fascinated the public. However, their relationship was far from perfect, and by the mid-1960s, it had deteriorated to the point of no return. The divorce proceedings were highly publicized, adding to the stress and emotional strain Mansfield was already experiencing. During her divorce from Hargitay, Mansfield began dating her divorce lawyer, Samuel S. Brody. This relationship added another layer of complexity to her already troubled personal life. Brody was known for his fiery temper and jealousy, which often led to volatile situations. The combination of ongoing legal battles, a contentious new relationship, and the responsibilities of raising her children without a stable family structure created a perfect storm of stress and instability for Mansfield. The professional rejection and personal upheaval Mansfield faced led her to increasingly rely on alcohol as a coping mechanism. Alcohol became a crutch for her, a way to numb the pain and escape the harsh realities of her declining career and troubled personal life. This dependency on alcohol further tarnished her public image and affected her ability to perform, creating a vicious cycle that was difficult to break. In an effort to maintain some semblance of a career and provide for her family, Mansfield began accepting work at venues that were far removed from the high-status Hollywood productions she had once been a part of. She performed in nightclubs, theaters, and small-time shows, venues that were not considered top-tier for someone who had once been a Hollywood icon. These performances, while keeping her in the public eye, did little to restore her former glory, and were often seen as a step down from the heights of her earlier career. Mansfield's nightclub acts and stage performances were a stark departure from the major film roles she had once aspired to. These gigs were often more about capitalizing on her celebrity status and sex appeal than showcasing her acting talents. She performed in risque shows and made appearances at venues that catered to a different kind of audience than the one she had entertained in her Hollywood heyday. These performances sometimes included cabaret-style acts and other forms of entertainment that highlighted her physical attributes rather than her acting skills. Despite her best efforts, the work she found during this period did not bring her the professional redemption she sought. Instead, it reinforced the perception that her career was in decline and that she was no longer the sought-after starlet she had once been. The media's portrayal of her as a fading star only added to her struggles, making it harder for her to secure meaningful roles or opportunities to revive her career. And then, Jayne Mansfield's tragedy came unexpectedly. On June 28, 1967, Jayne Mansfield was in Biloxi, Mississippi, for a scheduled performance at the Gus Stevens Supper Club, a popular entertainment venue on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Known for its vibrant nightlife, the club was a frequent stop for entertainers looking to connect with audiences outside the major metropolitan areas. Mansfield's appearance at the supper club was part of her ongoing efforts to maintain her career and public presence, despite the declining interest from Hollywood. After her performance, which likely drew a crowd eager to see the iconic starlet, Mansfield's night was far from over. Around midnight, she, her attorney and partner Sam Brody, age 40, a driver from the Gus Stevens Supper Club named Ronald B. Harrison, age 19, 3 of her children, Miklos, age 8, Zoltan, age 6, and Mariska, age 3, and her 4 Chihuahua dogs departed from Biloxi. The group set off in a 1966 Buick Electra 225, a spacious and powerful car typical of the era, for their next destination, New Orleans. Mansfield had an important engagement the following day, scheduled to appear on WDSU's Midday Show, a local television program that promised to keep her in the public eye and connect with her fans. As they traveled on U.S. Highway 90, a route known for its scenic views but also its potential hazards, the group faced a long, dark drive. The highway, which runs parallel to the Gulf Coast, offers stretches of desolate road that can be challenging, especially at night. The Buick was traveling between 60 and 80 miles per hour, a typical speed for such a journey, but one that required careful attention given the road conditions and the hour. At approximately 2:25 a.m. on June 29th, the Buick was nearing the Rigolette's Bridge, about a mile west of it, when tragedy struck. The car collided with the rear of a Johnson Motor Freight Line's tractor-trailer. This truck had slowed down from 50 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour due to the presence of an approaching mosquito insecticide fog-spraying truck, which was flashing red light to warn other drivers of the reduced speed and the foggy conditions ahead. The dense cloud of insecticide mist severely impaired visibility, creating a dangerous situation on the highway. The Buick, unable to stop or swerve in time, crashed into the back of the tractor trailer. The force of the collision was devastating, with the Buick's front end being crushed and the top of the car sheared off as it slid under the trailer. The impact was so severe that the three adults in the front seat, Mansfield, Brody, and Harrison, were killed instantly. Two of the Chihuahua dogs also perished in the crash. Remarkably, Mansfield's three children, who were asleep in the rear seat, survived the accident with only minor injuries. The children's survival was a small miracle in an otherwise horrific event. The tragic death of Jayne Mansfield became the subject of intense media scrutiny and public fascination, partly due to the gruesome nature of the accident and the misconceptions that emerged from the wreckage. Mansfield's fatal crash, which occurred on U.S. Highway 90 near the Rigolets Bridge, was marked by severe structural damage to the 1966 Buick Electra 225 she was traveling in. This devastation led to misunderstandings about the precise nature of her injuries. A common misconception about Mansfield's death was that she had lost of head. This belief stemmed from police photographs taken at the accident scene, which showed the car with its top almost completely sheared off. In these images, a blonde-haired object appeared to be tangled in the damaged windshield, fueling rumors and speculation about the horrific nature of the injuries. However, the official death certificate for Jayne Mansfield provides a more accurate account of her injuries. It lists the cause of death as severe head trauma with significant injury, which clearly rules out decapitation. The term severe head trauma indicates that while Mansfield sustained critical injuries to her head, there was no complete severance of her head from her body. The confusion regarding decapitation likely arose from the disturbing visuals of the wrecked car and the appearance of the blonde object in the photos. The exact nature of the head-like shape seen in the wreckage photos remains unclear. Various theories have been proposed to explain this. Some suggest that the object might have been a wig, which Mansfield was known to wear as part of her glamorous public image. Another possibility is that it was a portion of her hair and scalp, which could have been dislodged during the collision. Alternatively, the object could have been something else entirely, such as a piece of clothing or an accessory. Despite the speculation, no definitive identification of the object has been made, leaving some aspects of the accident's aftermath shrouded in uncertainty. In the wake of Mansfield's death, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, took significant action to address the safety issues highlighted by the crash. One of the key recommendations was the implementation of under-ride guards on the rear of tractor trailers. These safety features were designed to prevent smaller vehicles from sliding underneath the trailers in the event of a collision, thereby reducing the risk of fatal injuries. The trucking industry, however, was slow to adopt these safety measures. It took time for the recommendations to translate into widespread regulatory changes and for under-ride guards to become a standard feature on all commercial trucks. In the United States, these safety devices are sometimes referred to as Mansfield bars in honor of the actress and the tragic accident that underscored their necessity. Mansfield's body was transported from New Orleans to New York by plane, marking the beginning of the final leg of her journey. The decision to fly her body to New York was likely influenced by the family's connections and the desire to hold the funeral in a location with personal significance. The logistics of such a transfer are significant, involving arrangements to ensure that her body was treated with the utmost respect and care during transit. The private funeral for Jayne Mansfield took place on July 3, 1967, at the chapel of the Pullis Funeral Home in Pen Argyl, Pennsylvania. The choice of location was deeply personal, reflecting Mansfield's roots and connections outside of her Hollywood fame. Pen Argyl, a small town in Northampton County, Pennsylvania, was close to where her family had ties, and the Pullis Funeral Home was a fitting venue for a ceremony meant to honor her life in a more private and respectful manner. The funeral service was officiated by a pastor from the Zion Methodist Church, who had known Mansfield since her childhood. This choice of officiant underscored the personal connections and history Mansfield had with her early life, long before her rise to fame in Hollywood. The presence of someone familiar with her upbringing and personal history added a layer of intimacy and connection to the service, honoring her not just as a celebrity, but as a person with deep roots and personal relationships. Mansfield was laid to rest in Fairview Cemetery, situated in Penn Argyl. Her burial site was chosen to be alongside her father, who had passed away years earlier. This choice symbolized a reunion with her family and a return to her roots, providing a final resting place that was deeply significant to those who loved her. Among the attendees at the funeral, her ex-husband Mickey Hargitay was notably present. Hargitay, the father of 3 of Mansfield's 5 children, had a complex relationship with the late actress, characterized by both their shared history and their eventual separation. His presence at the funeral spoke to the ongoing bond and respect they held for each other despite their personal differences. Hargitay's attendance highlighted the enduring connections that persisted even after their marriage had ended. The decision to hold a private funeral and the arrangements made for Mansfield's burial reflected the family's desire to honor her memory in a manner that respected her personal history and relationships. The funeral was a time for close family and friends to come together, away from the public eye, to remember and celebrate Mansfield's life and contributions. The choice of venue and the involvement of individuals who had known her since her childhood emphasized the importance of her personal and familial ties. In the aftermath of Jayne Mansfield's tragic death, legal proceedings were initiated to address the wrongful death of the beloved actress and to seek compensation for the damages suffered by her family. In 1968, 2 wrongful death lawsuits were filed on behalf of Mansfield and her ex-husband, Matt Cimber. The legal battles that ensued were complex and scrutinized various aspects of the tragic accident. The lawsuits were brought against multiple parties involved in the incident, including Ronald B. Harrison, the driver of the Buick Electra, the driver of the Johnson Motor Freight Line's tractor-trailer, identified as Rambo, and the driver of the Mosquito fog-spraying truck, McClelland. The aim of these legal actions was to determine liability and seek damages for the loss of Mansfield's life, as well as the severe injuries sustained by her children. The case went to trial and spanned 16 days, a considerable length of time that underscored the complexity of the legal arguments and the weight of the evidence presented. The trial sought to establish fault among the various parties involved and to clarify the extent of each party's responsibility in the chain of events that led to the fatal accident. The jury's findings were multifaceted. Ronald B. Harrison. The jury determined that Harrison, the driver of the Buick Electra, was negligent. Harrison's negligence was attributed to the failure to maintain control of the vehicle and navigate the hazardous conditions created by the fog-spraying truck ahead. His inability to stop in time and avoid the collision was a critical factor in the accident. Given the severe impact and resulting fatalities, this finding was significant in establishing liability. Rambo, truck driver. The jury found that Rambo, the driver of the Johnson Motor Freight Line's tractor-trailer into which Mansfield's car crashed, was not negligent. Although the truck was involved in the accident, the jury concluded that Rambo's actions did not constitute negligence. This finding likely reflected the fact that the truck had slowed down to 35 miles per hour due to the approaching fog-spraying truck, a necessary precaution given the reduced visibility. McClelland, fog-spraying truck driver. The jury found McClelland, the driver of the Mosquito fog-spraying truck, to be negligent. The truck's presence and the resulting fog created a significant hazard on the road. However, the jury determined that McClelland's negligence was not a proximate cause of the accident. This distinction meant that while the fog-spraying truck's actions contributed to the dangerous driving conditions, they were not directly responsible for the collision. The verdict concluded with the finding of negligence on the part of Harrison and McClelland, but did not fully attribute the accident to their actions. The complex nature of the case, with multiple factors influencing the outcome, reflected the challenging task of assigning liability in such tragic circumstances. Following the trial, a rehearing was requested but denied. This denial marked the conclusion of the legal proceedings related to the wrongful death of Jayne Mansfield. The outcome of the lawsuits was a critical moment in addressing the legal ramifications of the accident and sought to provide some measure of justice and compensation for the loss suffered by Mansfield's family. Following the accident, the remains of the Buick Electra were recovered and eventually found their way into the hands of a private collector in Florida. This collector, whose name remains largely anonymous, acquired the car and saw an opportunity to preserve it as a historical artifact. The collector's motivation was likely a blend of fascination with the celebrity associated with the car and an interest in preserving a tangible piece of history that marked a significant event in both automotive and Hollywood history. In the 1970s, the car was repurposed as a roadside attraction, reflecting a broader trend of turning items associated with notable events into public curiosities. Roadside attractions often drew attention for their unique or sensational qualities, and the wrecked Buick Electra fit this mold perfectly. Its status as the car involved in Mansfield's fatal accident added a layer of notoriety that made it an intriguing stop for those interested in Hollywood history or the tragic outcomes of celebrity lives. The car's gruesome association ensured it attracted attention, but it also served as a stark reminder of the dangers of road travel and the dramatic impact of the accident. The car's journey continued when it became part of the collection at the dearly departed Tours and Artifact Museum. This museum, known for curating items related to celebrity deaths and other morbid curiosities, displayed the wrecked Buick Electra as a part of its broader collection. The museum aimed to offer visitors a glimpse into the lives and deaths of famous individuals, blending elements of historical preservation with a focus on the more sensational aspects of celebrity culture. At the dearly departed Tours and Artifact Museum, the car was maintained as a part of an exhibit that attracted visitors interested in both the macabre and the historical aspects of celebrity lives. The exhibit provided context about the accident, Jayne Mansfield's life, and the broader implications of vehicle safety improvements following the crash. The car's presence in the museum was a testament to how objects associated with historical events can take on a life of their own, becoming symbols of both fascination and reflection. However, the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 brought significant changes to public exhibitions and museum operations. The dearly departed Tours and Artifact Museum, like many other institutions, faced challenges due to health restrictions and shifts in visitor behavior. During this period, the wrecked car, along with other artifacts, was placed into storage. This decision was part of a broader strategy to adapt to the pandemic's impact, ensuring the safety of both staff and visitors while also preserving the integrity of the collection. The car's storage marked a temporary end to its public display, but it remains an important artifact with a poignant history. The transition into storage reflects broader trends in how we preserve and interact with items of historical and cultural significance, particularly those with sensitive or controversial associations. The wrecked Buick Electra's journey from a roadside attraction to a museum exhibit and then into storage highlights the evolving nature of historical preservation and public fascination with the intersection of fame, tragedy, and memory. As of now, the future of the car's display is uncertain, but its legacy as a significant artifact of Hollywood history and road safety continues. The Buick Electra's story is a reminder of the enduring impact of tragic events on popular culture and the ways in which objects associated with these events are preserved and remembered. What do you think about Jayne Mansfield's horrific accident? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.